I'm with the Lexus RZ 450e, the first ever battery electric vehicle in North America. And I have the key fob out because we have a new Lexus chime for the first time in decades. Okay. But you still also have the old beep underneath. Why is it also giving you the old beep? Because I have the lights on right now. So it's just kind of reminding me. But you kind of have this piano tone. And I know the new Prius also has a new tone as well, which sounds either identical or just slightly different. So let's talk about the exterior lights. We'll get on the inside and I'll give you guys a nighttime drive. The RZ 450e during the day looks plenty aggressive, but at night it takes on a whole new persona. It is incredible looking at night how the lights hit it from every single angle. The lines are so much more pronounced. Now let's talk about the lights up here because they're giving me 3 different styles. And what do I mean by that? Well, when I have the car on, you get 3 additional daytime running lights underneath the Lexus L motif. Right now, since the car is off and I have the parking lights on, it's just giving me the straight L motif. And then when the nighttime lights are on, those triple beams underneath the L motif turn off, and then you also have the bi-LEDs on the outside. So it gives us 3 different lighting configurations for the RZ 450e. We also have the optional illuminated badge here, which looks so good. And this is honestly, I would not be getting this vehicle without that illuminated badge. I feel like every Lexus going forward should have that as an option. I think it looks amazing and makes this Lexus stand out even more at night than it already does. Now the turn indicator also uses those daytime triple beams underneath the L motif and turns them amber for the turn signal. Now, during the day though, when the car is on, since it's still off right now, it keeps the L motif on. But when the car is on, or turns the L motif off and all you get on one side is the turn indicator. We have a very small turn indicator here on the side mirror, the glossy black side mirror, which is perfectly fine when you're looking on dead from the side here. It's time to get onto the back because this is one of the more impressive things about the RZ is the light bar. Really digging the lights up front, but the light bar in the back is quite sharp. Turn indicator here on the left, and it doesn't seem to be quite as amber. It's more of a bright yellow than a dark orange that we have on the front turn indicators. And then with the turn indicator off, very sleek, very minimum, and the RZ looks so good at night from the back. I think it really stands out. Even in the era of light bar everything, the new RZ does look very, very special. We do have a couple LED lights shining down on the plate for you guys. We do have illuminated handle wells for your hands at nighttime. Do I have it on the back here? I do not have illumination for the back door handle, just the front one. But we do have smart key access on the back, which is nice. Getting on the inside here, a couple car seats. My kid's been driving in here with me. Not a lot of illumination going on in the back. Now we have these map lights up top for additional illumination when you get in and out of the vehicle. But when those fade away, you have illuminated USB-Cs back here. You have an illuminated hand well as well as bottle well at the bottom, but nothing special here on the door as we will have in the front. Now we're in the front seat. It all comes down to the shadow illumination. The GoPro can't really pick it up at all. It looks incredible though. I'll play the B-roll of it for you. Kind of gives us this starry night, or maybe even like a shadow crystal being displayed on the side of the door. We also have bottle illumination underneath as well as handle illumination like the back seats. Nothing on the dash. The screens look okay at night, just like they do during the day. All your USB-Cs are illuminated here as well as your parking assist, 360 camera. How does that 360 camera look at night? Well, let's just put it in reverse. Actually, it's super clear to be honest. And you're always gonna get that annoying beep going on the new Lexus RZ, something that the old Priuses did, and it's just unfortunate. We put it into drive here. Very clear at night as well. What about the digital rear view mirror? Actually looks pretty good as well. I had the Sequoia last week. Now the Sequoia's digital rear view mirror wasn't as clear at night, I don't think, and the reason is because it was inside of the glass. The RZ's digital rear view mirror camera is right around the license plate, which sits a little bit low, and you don't have the best vantage point for the digital rear view mirror in my opinion. I wish it was a little bit higher on the shark fin and antenna, for example. Lexus does a good job dimming the head-up display at night. It's super bright during the day, one of my favorite head-up displays currently on the market. And even though we have customizable buttons here on the steering wheel that interact with that head-up display, These do have a little illumination as well at night, even though I'm never looking at these buttons, to be honest. Once you get used to them, you have little dimples at every single arrow here. And then it also coordinates. You don't have to look down because it tells you exactly where your finger is on that head-up display. Also a secret compartment down here that has an LED illumination to it as well. What about in here? Yes, this also has illumination shining down on your felt lined glove box, or I should say armrest box, because there is no glove box. It has been replaced by that radiant heater underneath the dash. We have very bright illumination for the footwells down here, and you can probably see that RZ on the floor mat. You also have it on the driver's side as well. I can see my feet very well. And then lastly, the wireless phone charger has a very bright illumination for your phone at nighttime as well. Now, driving the RZ, whether it's a day or night, like this, I better turn my lights on. There we go. It is so smooth, so quiet. Everything about this vehicle exudes luxury from the driving aspect. From the materials aspect, it's nice, definitely. It's probably nicer than just about any mass market vehicle out there, but I would have loved to have some sort of wood ornamentation instead of like this plastic. I know they're trying to be eco, but give me synthetic wood or something. Like, it's just a little underwhelming in my opinion in terms of the materials in here. But the comfort in here is excellent. Like I said, the ride quality is a 10 out of 10. The quietness is a 10 out of 10. It's one of the quietest vehicles I've ever been in, and I'm not even in the luxury trim, which adds more acoustic glass windows to the rear passengers as well. Like, the only time you'd probably be able to benefit from that is maybe at the highway, on highway speeds, but around town it's whisper quiet and you can't hear anything. I could probably do this whole video whispering on the inside of the RZ. But what's impressive about the RZ is its acceleration, and I'm just rolling into the throttle. Gosh, it pulls hard to 60 every single time, and it is faster than probably every single Lexus in the lineup besides the LC, maybe the LS, and maybe the RCF. So there's only 3 vehicles in the Lexus lineup that are faster than this to 60 miles an hour anyways, and it's just instant power. If you've never experienced full electric power before, it will blow your mind. All right, this time in sport mode, go. It definitely felt like it was giving it more juice there. 4.71. So, I mean, obviously that's not accounting for the 1 foot rollout, which would probably make it pretty close to 5 seconds, but disregarding the 1 foot rollout, 4.710 to 60 and 5.02 to 100 kilometers per hour. I talk more about efficiency during my daytime drive, but around town I've been getting somewhere around 250 miles of estimated range, which is more than the 220 miles of estimated range from the EPA with these 18-inch wheels. And then on the highway, going 75 miles an hour, I was estimating somewhere around 160 miles of range. So this is the perfect city car. It gives you everything you need for point A to point B in style and quietness and power as well. And it has a nice little fake engine note to it. It just is not a good road tripping car. I would not want to take this out of town more than an hour because the charging speeds at 150 kilowatts are not the fastest. 150 kilowatts is also like best case scenario. And if it's cold out, you can forget about it. And if it's too hot out, you can forget about it. So I've only charged this car a couple times in my level 2 at home, and it has no problem topping this vehicle off overnight. And I just have a modest 3.3 kilowatt charger. And Lexus allows you to charge up to 6.6 kilowatts on this, which is not like groundbreaking by any means. There are much faster AC level 2 chargers out there, around 11, 12 kilowatts, for example. But I think for the average person, 6.6 kilowatts is plenty quick, especially we don't have that large of a battery pack. Usable battery packs around 64 kilowatts. So I don't think 6.6 is underwhelming for a vehicle of this size. Now, we do have automatic high beams, and there they go. I just turned them on and then they intelligently switched on. You know, the lights are okay. I feel like I've tested brighter lights recently. The spread isn't quite as impressive as I've tested in other vehicles recently, but I do have adaptive front lighting system, so go around the turn. You do see the headlights just move slightly. It's not as aggressive maybe as like Mazda's adaptive front lighting system here, but in the Lexus, I actually like the implementation here more with their adaptive front lights that turn with the steering wheel. It's not quite as distracting. It's very smooth and subtle. Now this digital rear view mirror comes in handy. The rear window is kind of getting fogged over right now, so I'm going to put the rear defrost on, which luckily is a dedicated button. The rest of the climate control, besides defrost, is all on the touchscreen. It's functional. I just prefer real buttons, and I would actually prefer a third of my screen to not be taken up by the climate control. I was in the Sequoia last week, and you're able to use the full touchscreen for Android Auto and other navigation. And here, a big portion of the screen is taken up by the touch sensitivity buttons for your climate control. The steering in here is super light. It does turn fairly well, but don't think it's a performance car. It doesn't handle anything like an Audi e-tron, for example. And when you do push it hard in the turns, it does feel fairly light for an EV, and it does like to boogie, but with these 18-inch wheels, it just doesn't handle quite as well or satisfyingly as the 20-inch wheels. I personally would be going for the 20-inch wheels because I see this as a city car anyways, where the range isn't that big of a deal. But if range is important to you and you have to have this Lexus, go for the 18-inch wheels here on this premium grade. Now that I have no additional lights around me, I do have some great illumination on the bushes to the side. They aren't the highest reaching headlights, which is probably a good thing, so you're not blinding incoming traffic. They are pretty much seemingly at car level and below for the illumination. And I like how they're not overly aggressive with the brights. Just because there's no one coming at me doesn't mean I need to have the brights on. The car senses that there's plenty of illumination from the street, so it's just on its low beams right now, and I can see really, really well. Now the braking in here is very predictable, very progressive brake feel. They're not the strongest brakes, and I found this out yesterday when I had 3 kids in the back with their backpacks and everything. I can actually notice the weight when it came to braking this vehicle. It already weighs around 4,500, 4,600 pounds, and then adding maybe just a couple hundred extra pounds, I feel like I can notice it in stop and go traffic. It still stopped well, but you can feel the heft for sure. Now, as I'm turning the wheel here, on a lot of Lexus vehicles, it will shower an additional light off to the side to illuminate where you're turning to, but unfortunately I don't see any additional illumination coming off the side of the vehicle when I have my wheel turned. It's just so smooth, so quiet. I feel like you can really be alone with your own thoughts here. The car doesn't impose anything on you. There's no sounds. Once it's in drive, you can just forget about everything else. Put on auto climate control if you want. Speaking of the climate control, even in the 95-degree days that I have here in early summer, I only need about 2 bars on the fan speed, and I just keep it at 72 or 73 with these little rotary dials for temperature control. The car does a really good job of cooling itself down, I would say, unlike maybe the RX 500 that with the panel roof on that, I felt like I had to push the AC system quite a bit harder than I do in this RZ. And in terms of regen braking, there's a blue dot in the charge portion of your power meter here that the battery's still not that warm, even though I've been driving this vehicle for 15-20 minutes, it's still right in the middle of the charge regen. So what does that mean? Well, when the battery's warmed up later in the day, or maybe you've been driving it a little bit more, a little blue circle here will go all the way down to the bottom, letting you know it is much better at regen or recuperating energy when you're coming to a stop. Right now, it's only about 50% of its true capacity of regen braking. And I noticed that with the BZ4X, I haven't driven that in a while as well, but it takes a while for that battery to warm up in order for you to maximize the regen braking on that. There are paddle shifters here for regen braking, but I just use the great feeling brake pedal to bring this car to a stop. There is no one pedal driving, and that's kind of unfortunate. I love having that option in electric vehicles, especially in stop and go traffic. I feel like it's really handy, but I'm driving a lot with kids in the car and other people in the car, and having that individual control with the brake pedal is always more accurate than one pedal driving anyways. And lastly, with the shadow illumination here at nighttime, the vibe it's given me is like if you're in a movie theater, all the focus is on the screen, but if you do need to get up and move around, you have that illumination accenting the aisles. And that's kind of what I feel like the shadow illumination does, kind of accenting the aisles so we can see or just have a little bit more cheerfulness in this cabin at nighttime. It's totally out of the way. It is not distracting at all. I can definitely see it in my peripheral, but it's not distracting in any means. It's not like, for example, the Audi S8 or the e-tron that I drove that has much more aggressive ambient lighting throughout the dash and the doors, which is really cool and impressive, but really at night, you don't want to be overstimulated, and this is just a nice calming experience in here. Definitely the most calming Lexus out there, I'd say, on the market. It is super comfortable and quiet and smooth. I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching this nighttime drive of the RZ 450e from Lexus. It's a great city EV, and I feel like that's where most people drive their Lexuses, in and around town, and that's where just most people drive in general. Very few of us take trips outside of town on a regular basis, but if you need to do that, this is not the EV for you. But if you mainly just drive around town and maybe take airplanes when you leave town, or you don't go on road trips, this is a good EV for you. Otherwise, just get a Lexus hybrid or something. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day. Smash the like button if you made it this far. Appreciate you. Peace out.